Good morning. Let's see where Layla is. Yes, can I start? نعم ما بعرف. um, yeah. ايه. Good morning.
بايدك؟
زي جامعة القاهرة. سامحة تركبوا لي حاجة هنا.
لا 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 زي جامعة
ده هيفيل هوم يعني بقى.
الكيزة صغيرة خالص.
ربنا يخليك. مش عارف لا لا مش عارف ده مين ولا مين. مين حوض
أو
ده؟
تحت عشان اتفرج عليك.
لا 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 تعالوا جنبي.
خليني بس
على وات ايفر يو وش يعني.
Sorry, it's not in my script. I'll ask Naila. Okay, sure. Okay. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. You're all awake? We're going to do some exercise. Lift your mobiles up. All of you, up, up. Oh my God, you're awake. Okay. I love it. Wait, now, bring it forward. Can you see your mobile? So, there's an app for this event. I would really, really urge you to use it. Have you all downloaded it? Okay, what are we going to do with this app? We're going to use it to connect to each other, to talk to each other. We have the opportunity to all be together, so use it, please. So that's the exercise for today. I'm not going to ask you for more. Now we're going to exercise our brain. Okay, fine. So, how did you feel yesterday? When you left the room? Anyone else? Call out. Energized. Sorry? Great. I love these words. We will have a wrap-up later, but thank you. I certainly felt energized. My head was like, I couldn't sleep well last night because I was full of ideas. So absolutely. Okay, so I'm just going to go run through a bit how the day is going to look like today. We will have a keynote. And then we're going to have a networking break from 10 to 11. So please use it to talk to each other. And then from 11 to 12, we're going to have a very exciting plenary, actually here, that's on getting impact through trust-based philanthropy, okay? So that from 11 to 12, then we're going to have lunch at 12 to 1, then we're going to have parallel sessions. Sorry. Yep. So you have, again, a choice of plenary sessions to choose from. And this time I'll introduce them now, so you can make already your choice. So session 1 is going to be leveraging climate solutions for sustainable development. It'll be in this room. Session 2 will be bridging the digital divide, lessons learned from digital education initiatives. That would be in the Mary Cross Lecture Hall. And then session 3, the AFF members' presentations. Really looking forward to the Asfari Foundation presentation and the Wataniya Society presentation. And then from 2 to 15, we're going to have closing remarks between Naila and myself. And would love your active participation there. 2:15 to 2:30, coffee break. And then 2:30 to 4 o'clock, a members' meeting. So this meeting is about, it'll be an opportunity for you to find out what the Arab Foundations Forum has achieved over the past year and all its exciting plans for the year ahead. While this session is intended especially for the members, non-members are more than welcome to attend as observers. So are you all looking forward to an exciting day? Yes? Okay. So I would like to call Dr. Ali Aouni to the stage, who wants to do a short presentation.
I just wanted to quickly introduce Dr. Ali Din Hilal. So you can, يعني عشان تعرفوا قدر هذا الرجل. Let me give you sort of, I'm going to talk about it from my own perspective. If you want to see his bio, you can read it. The first PhD about civil society in Egypt was done by Dr. Amani Andil, and it was under the guidance of Dr. Ali Din Hilal. Dr. Ali Din Hilal is one of the heavyweight political scientists in Egypt. When we talk about philanthropy, when we talk about social impact, when we talk about anything, you cannot forget the political setting that it's in it. We tend to do that all the time. So I keep, for example, Al-Ahram. He writes a weekly article in Al-Ahram. I really recommend you read it. It will take you away. I mean, he talks about diverse topics, the diversity of the topics he talks about in very, very brief, to the point, and tremendous depth is amazing. So that's the purpose of bringing Dr. Ali Din Hilal. Ali Din Hilal, if I just tell you the recent, he just won Jaizat al-Nil, which is a prize for social sciences in 2023. So he's extremely active, and one of my friends, he just got a PhD with him recently. It's about transnational families. He was talking about the Rothschild families. It's amazing. I mean, the diversity is just amazing. But anyway, without much ado, Dr. Ali Hilal, and the floor is yours, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Thanks a lot, Ali, for the nice words. I wish that you do have good discussions and, inshallah, successful meeting and a conference. As you may know by now, I am a student of politics. I have been teaching, researching, publishing on political issues for the last 50 years or more. I was equally involved in practical politics. A cabinet minister, a member of the parliament. Also involved in civil society activities. I was the first vice president of the Egyptian Organization of Human Rights, chairman of the Egyptian Indian Friendship Association for some 10 years. So as you can see that over half a century, I accumulated a lot of experiences, both inside Egypt and outside it. With the exception of, out of 50 years, 10 years, I lived abroad, studying in Canada, or teaching in the US and Canada. The bulk, most of my life, I am here. In Egypt, I visited every single Arab country. I also visited every single Egyptian governorate. So when I reflect on my own background, on my own experience, since every one of us is a hostage of his own experiences, every one of us reflects what did he do, he, she, what did he witness, experience, ups and downs. Over the years, I have been always concerned with the issue of poverty. I consider it the source of all ills in society. Of course, I take poverty in its comprehensive. Poverty of income, of skills, of knowledge, of awareness. And in my writings, in my lectures, I have always toyed with a number of questions. Why did some societies, some countries succeed in breaking the vicious circle of poverty? Others not. Why did some individuals, communities, again succeed in improving their social status? Others not. Why integrated social policies in some countries created a more equitable distribution of income, others not? I mean, for good or bad, issues of poverty, of vulnerable groups, of the moral, legal, political responsibility towards the weak, the vulnerable, the unable. The weak and the vulnerable, the best way to help is not by donation or bringing them food, rather by empowering them, providing them with the skills, with the knowledge that enable them to help themselves. As long as we have the idea we are helping others, it's a dead end. I think our role, those who think of themselves as reformers, as philanthropic, as civic engagement, our role in my thinking is to enable, is to empower. And that should be the guiding principle, guiding our thinking, our way of looking at things, and our priorities. let me also say, in the analysis of any political system, a ministry, an organization, life taught me I look at outputs, not inputs. So I may hear a minister, prime minister, president say, we did so and so, we established so and so, we allocated so and so resources. That does not impress me. I ask, what has been the results? What are the outcomes? I evaluate government policies, civil society's activities, philanthropic, not but what they do, but what is the end product. And if the end product does not correspond to the intended objectives, then there is something wrong. I have all respect, appreciation to what Arab states, Arab governments, Arab civil society, Arab foundations are doing. But I pose the question, what has been the impact? Are Arab people today better off than 10 years ago, than 20 years ago? Definitely, in some countries, they are much worse. In others, they are better. And in this context, and from a political perspective, let me share with you some scattered, unrelated ideas, briefly, but frankly. One is the changing regional and global landscape. We live in a dangerous world. Environmentally dangerous, politically dangerous, socially dangerous, and of course, militarily dangerous. A world characterized by wars, from local proxy wars, civil wars, internal wars, to global wars. Global, competitive, tough US and China, cutting across throughout the world, the American-Chinese competition, and the American-Russian war in Ukraine. This creates continuous crises, immediacy, flexibility, volatility. Now, having this degree of uncertainty, of unexpectedness, it forces us to be more modest, not to claim that we really know what is the road ahead. It needs us to be more modest, our organizations to be more flexible, slim structures, capable of making adequate and swift responses and decisions. I think the capability of the capacity of being flexible, of being adaptive, the ability to change, to changing situation, the ability to change some aspects of your means, tools, strategies, corresponding to a changing environment. This global environment, that's my second point. We used to speak of globalization, and we live in a globalized world. This is true. And globalization was given to us here in the Arab world as a panacea, the magic solution that will help all of us, interdependency, exchange of interests, freedom of trade, freedom of investment, Western democracy, multi-party system. And that was the message. I leave it to each one of you to think how much of this globalization affected our Arab, our Middle East environment, either positively or negatively. And what are the factors that made the global impact either positive or negative? But let us also remember that at this moment of time, we have a counter-globalization process. We have anti-globalization process. You remember in the COVID-19, COVID nationalism, or how the rich wanted to monopolize any remedy to the COVID plague. How most of the developing countries were pushed not to receive any of these till the end. The isolationists' economic policies of the US under Trump. The rise of populism, populist political parties in Europe. The Prime Minister of Italy is a leader of a populist party. I wish some of you would read her discussions. Not now when she is a prime minister. How did you think of other countries, other peoples, other ethnic groups? But the rise of populist parties, tendencies, almost everywhere in Europe, in Austria, in Germany, in France, increasing their percentage of votes, local council, parliaments. Where that will lead us, it's open for our discussions. But definitely, globalization is not as attractive or as appealing to the developed countries as they became more selective. I think we in our part of the world, we should also be so. Now, in this context, you have the argument that philanthropic organization, civil society organizations should be globalized. That this organization should not be confined to one country or to some regional countries. It should be globalized. I understand this. I appreciate it. I praise the idea of global networking, exchange of experiences, search for best practices. But I think we have to think of the attitude of some Arab foundations to invest in developed, rich countries. And I pose the question, why? Other than imitating others, I think we have misery, poverty in the Arab world and surrounding developing countries that can consume all our resources. I'm not calling or I'm not suggesting any chauvinistic or narrow-minded, but I am suggesting a proper appreciation of priorities. Priority should be to the poorest, to the most vulnerable in where we live. If we have extra, we may think of other priorities. We have to benefit from the advances of technology. That's my third point. Technology has been a progressive force in history, throughout history. Its outcome was either useful and positive or disruptive and harmful, depending upon who uses it and for what objective. On the 21st of March this year, Bill Gates wrote a piece titled, "The Age of AI Has Begun." I believe that AI, artificial intelligence, is not just a technology. It's a new phase of human development. It's a new phase of civilization. And I think we in the Arab world, we in the Middle East, everyone, states, governments, and civil society, philanthropic organization, we have to get engaged into this new field of knowledge. They also talking about quantum computation. I mean, there are new areas of knowledge, of research, which could have great benefit for the poor, for the underdeveloped. We have a number of conferences, meetings about the role of AI, poverty alleviation, delivery of health and educational services, advocacy, mobilization, and enhancing awareness. And I think, our discussions should involve how, given eventually, our resources, however it looks huge, is relatively limited. How to make the best of AI and similar technologies in fulfilling our projects, especially when we are dealing with youth. My fourth point is the issue of culture. And again, I lived long enough to see, in my country, to see Nasser, Sadat, Mubarak, the revolution in 2011, and the 10 years after. For example, in the 50s, President Nasser, built what was called المساكن الشعبية, compounds for the poor. At the beginning, they looked nice, clean, small gardens, etc. 1 year later, it shambles. It's easy to build a building, to establish a road, to build a hospital. It's much more difficult to run or to keep them clean and functioning. The key variable, values. And I think we have to give more emphasis on the ideas of what are the values, the norms, the attitudes which guide the behavior of the average Egyptian, Syrian, Iraqi, Saudi, Turkish, Iranian, whatever. And as long as we don't really modernize, change these values and norms, then the setback is always possible. And that explains the so many setbacks we have. I want to give more emphasis, in the 50s, when the studies of modernization, development in the US and Europe, there were different schools. A number of schools says institution building. Build the institutions, and institutions will condition the behavior of people, etc., etc., etc. Another school spoke about economic development. It change the material surrounding of people that will impose. Then there was a third school. I remember there was a man called Daniel Lerner who wrote a book on the Middle East. The passing of traditional societies. The passing of traditional society, عبور المجتمع التقليدي, where he emphasized the idea of culture and that the essence of modernization, development, is you have to change. Now, we may agree or disagree what is the most important, or if any, is there an important factor, but I want to emphasize that without cultural change, without it changing in the minds, everything else we do is reversible. And I'm very, I feel very uneasy when I tell you القدرة على الهدم أسهل وأسرع من البناء. The ability to destroy, to make a reverse, much more easier than build. And I have seen in different parts of the Arab world things which were built over 10, 15 years. You can and I'll be very frank, and I'm talking as an Arab, as an Egyptian Arab. There are some major cultural ideas. Some are coming from particular interpretations of religion. Some are traditions, customs, a'raf, taqalid. Some comes from the social structures, families, tribes. But what I can see, you have a propensity to corruption, nepotism, favoritism. You have a proverb, اللي ملوش خير في أهله ملوش خير في الناس. يعني the person who does not provide good for his relatives will not be able to help any other body. So in fact, nepotism became a value. You have, again, inclinations towards authoritarianism. The essence, unlimited power. Whether you are a teacher in school, you are a father, you are a big brother, or a minister, or a king, or a president, the essence is one and the same. You listen to the sermon on Friday prayers. I mean, the sheikh, he talks in the name of God. This is halal, this is haram. And I think we have a long way, but there is no other choice to cultivate the sense of toleration, accepting the other, accepting pluralism, accepting diversity, democracy. I think now we have, without any sense of doubt, in the absence of a democratic culture, no democratic institutions are sustainable. And I was ordered to finish my talk, though what's coming is the most important. So I'll say it in very few words. Part of this culture is a culture of ethnicity. Ethnicity is the opposite of the national state, is the opposite of the national identity. Let me conclude, and I'm sorry for talking too much. Let me conclude by civil society, philanthropic organizations cannot be substitute for the state, for the government. There is no reason to go into any competition or to create doubts in the minds of governments and states in what we are doing. It does not help anyone. Thank you very much.
I know we're running late, and I really apologize. I would have stayed for another hour. But let's take a few questions. We're going to have to make it in 5 minutes. So, okay. Introduce yourself.
Thank you, Dr. Smidan Ariqat. I just want to hear more about ethnicity being the opposite of nation state and national identity, because I didn't personally get the full point of it. So I would love to hear more. Thank you.
You want me to answer one word? Yes, very quick. Yes. The issue of يعني sometimes in Arabic we say مجتمعات الهوية الوطنية ومجتمعات النزاع الطائفي. Of course, in our history, you have all kinds of differences. And we have different ethnic identities, confessional identities. We have that everywhere. Of course, with different, but ethnic diversity is a social reality, حقيقة اجتماعية. It's up to state policies, to social policies, either to intensify them or to make them more. I think the key point, the management of diversity. Diversity, ethnic diversity is not something evil in its own right. If we have just social policies, if every ethnicity feel that it is being properly and equally treated, especially in terms of resource allocation, political participation. Yes, you can manage it, and we have successful. Morocco is successful. Algeria, but to a lesser degree, successful in integrating the Amazigh, which is a full-fledged ethnic group with different language, different Kazakh. So, yes, is it Iraq? How the state of Iraq dealt with the Kurds, either through wars or through accommodation, through federal arrangement, at least through political negotiation, not resorting. Total failure in Sudan, who were ending up in the separation of, that's the challenge. If you abuse, if the government abuse its ethnic composition, you have the threat of secession, as it did happen in 2011 في Sudan. Thank you.
Okay. We take one more question. Okay, then conclude. Thank you, Dr. Ali.
Thank you very much. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much for these amazing remarks. So much to think about. So we've now got the networking session, a bit less than 1 hour, so get your skates on. Can I please all ask you to come back so that we can start at 11 sharp, so we're on the program. There's an amazing session that's coming up that we don't want to miss. So thank you so much. Enjoy the networking and see you at 11.